Hi, I'm Dr. Rob Silverman, Amazon best-selling author of Inside Out Health and host of Proven Health Alternatives. Today's guest, Mrs. Leslie Vellios, was without question very unique and very exciting. She showed all different techniques on energy and how to literally tap into energy. If you're looking for something that's really mainstream and it's coming in the 21st century, you want to watch this episode. Hey everybody, Dr. Rob Silverman here, host of Proven Health Alternatives, and I've got expert therapist Leslie Vellios. And Leslie just worked on me. I had some back pain and that really helped a lot, but she's got something really special for the upcoming holiday seasons on how to help you with those cravings. So tell us a little bit about yourself.
So I'm a clinically trained psychotherapist. I went to Columbia University right here in New York City, and about 30 years ago, that long, huh? I was 10 when I graduated.
I was just going to say.
So anyway, and I'd been doing therapy for years, but found that, I loved it because it helped people move and validate, but it would take forever. And I've always been a real New Yorker, impatient, Mm-hmm. So I was always looking for different ways to help people not only manage what they were bringing into the office, but for me to manage my stress. I, had 3 kids, 3 boys, 2 stepdaughters, husband, a full-time career. So there was stress in my life. And, I came across, and the stress for me, so stress manifests differently for different people. For me, it was always in my body and my weight and uncontrollable cravings, particularly. So I was always seeking for that technique. And they told me about 10 or 11 years ago about Dr. Carol Look, and she was a therapist and she was teaching this technique. And I said, you know what, let me go see what it is. And when I walked in there, I thought, those people are all nuts, because when you first see it, it really looks a bit strange. But by the end of the weekend, I was sold on it. I spent an entire weekend there. It was amazing. Not only the things that I had experienced myself from tapping, but what I saw in the audience. Pain that disappeared, veterans that were there, trauma that was dissolved. And, a lot of us that were dealing with food issues, very specific, dealing with cravings. So I ended up getting certified as an intermediate expert in EFT. I got a coaching certification, and then I got a lot of other little energy certifications that I added to my psychotherapy practice. And what I have found is that it has really boosted. It's like boosting on Facebook, right? People's progress. And, that's what I'm all about. It's like, come in. I don't want you to spend years. I want you to come in, get a resolution, and leave. So one of my passions, because I've worked with so many people, has been the issues around cravings, because they derail us in so many ways. So, and today we're going to be speaking specifically about cravings with food, but cravings are just an uncontrollable desire for something specific. So people could actually use this technique for cravings with alcohol, with drugs. They could use it for cravings like, you're stuck on social media, you can't seem to put that phone down. So any type of pull, when you feel that energy pulled towards something that's irresistible, that's a craving.
Now, these cravings, it's EFT, correct?
We're going to use the technique that we're using to deal with the cravings is emotional freedom technique. It's the technical term. We call it tapping. And that was discovered in 1991, or put together in 1991. Preceding that, there was a psychiatrist that was working with phobias that started using TFT. And so that was the mother, let's say, of EFT. And he was finding some results with these fears and phobias with TFT. But Gary Craig, who's an engineer, came around and said, this is too complicated, because Callahan, which was the psychiatrist, had multiple different algorithms and how to tap for this, tap for that, do it this way, do it that way. And it was way too complicated. So what Gary Craig did is what engineers do. He came along and he simplified it. He came up with one algorithm, which is the one I'll be teaching today, that covers everything. And, we're going to teach our audience that today. So.
Great. I'm excited about that. The cravings are interesting because, as a functional nutritionist, one of the hardest things is to rewire someone's brain and to break their habits. And it's hard sometimes for me to understand that because I'm just so focused and I value it.
Right.
But the truth of the matter is that, and this took like 15 to 20 years of practice, they can't control it.
Right.
It's not a lack of willpower. It's not a lack of willpower. We always talk about that there's some hormone, there's issues that are going on. So this is very interesting. So all those nutritionists and everybody like that may want to look at this and consider that component of the consult. So I do have a couple of questions for you. I wrote some things down. Stress in connection with cravings. What does stress do to your body? What does it do to your mind? How do you deal with it?
So one of the things that happens is that, we have stress all around us. And stress gets a little bit of a bad rap because there is a level of stress that's good and appropriate. Like if you're going to cross the street and you see a car coming and you feel that kind of tingling, that's the stress response. That's normal because all it's doing is warning you, hey, be careful, right? What happens is we live in a world where, especially now, we are being bombarded by so many things that we are having a stress response to things that shouldn't even be stressful, right? It's like we immediately see fear or see stress in things that are just normal. And our body cannot distinguish, our mind cannot distinguish between real, a car coming, and I'm going to take a quiz. It interprets it the same exact way, so the body reacts the same way. What happens? The information comes in, the amygdala fires up, this little almond-shaped gland, and says, woo, the fire alarm of the body. It fires up because they think there's danger, so it's going to warn the body, and what does it do? It just floods the body with cortisol, norepinephrine. It stops the ability for serotonin to come in. And why does it do that? Because we're still in the primitive body, right? It's like, what did the cavemen need? They needed all of this adrenaline, norepinephrine, the cortisol to go into their limbs. To do what? Fight?
Fight or flight. You make a great point. So it's a point that everybody, I don't mean to interrupt you. It's our bodies haven't changed, but our stressors, our environment, what we eat and everything has, and that's probably leading us towards that point of being more on edge, more type A personalities like myself. So our basic physiology hasn't changed, but the environment has, leading us down the path, and that's why we needed these type of techniques.
Right, so what ends up happening is now all this cortisol is in your body, all this adrenaline, and we're not running like the cavemen. We're going to the supermarket to pick up the food, right? So what happens to it? It wreaks havoc in our body. And because it causes this uneasiness, we look for things to calm it down. This is where the cravings, it's really interesting because when I was doing research on cravings, I found that cravings are triggered from the part of the brain right next to the memory center. And I said, wow, now it makes sense why we get a craving, because it's actually this whole thing that occurs in the body triggers the memory center, and there's a connection that we've made or an association with certain foods and a release of cravings. Why do people use food? Because you might say, oh my God, it's like this person wants to lose the weight and they keep on succumbing to the cravings. Why? You don't understand it because it doesn't happen to you. The reason is because somewhere early on we've associated certain foods with the numbing effect or with a relief, and that's what we're seeking when we're so stressed out.
The reward center of the brain, like sugar. Sugar works with the reward center in the brain, which is the most commonly consumed, pretty inexpensive drug in America. So that amygdala that you were talking about near that memory, people are getting high, if you will. So it's not easy when you're addicted to a drug. I just was someone who never consumed a lot of sugar.
Exactly.
So my drugs are somewhere else. My drug is what I'm doing during the day. But what you're talking about is so very common. So with all that being said, Do you have any demos to show a couple
Yeah.
of people?
So
Show me
what
some
we're-
craving demos.
So what we're going to do, here's what we're going to do today. I'm going to teach you about tapping, because there are some other things, by the way, that do work. And I want to tell people exercise helps you to release that. Journaling, sometimes writing what's going on helps you to release it. Gratitude, which is really interesting. People don't know, but sometimes gratitude shifts the vibration in your body. So just saying, I'm grateful for whatever it is, those things shift. The reason tapping works, now there are studies, this is proven studies now, that tapping actually works on reducing the cortisol level in the body.
Great.
There was a study recently done in Australia that showed people that tapped and people that didn't, they measured cortisol levels, they went down. The minute that goes down, that's the effect. You feel better. Now you might say, look, if you stop eating the sugar, then that resolves it, because you're not re-triggering that. Here's the problem, that people that have psychological cravings, or cravings that actually are coming from that memory center, it's being triggered not by the substance, but by the memory. So it's all of a sudden you feel sad and you want a piece of chocolate. And you just want to get rid of the sadness, and you remember subconsciously that the last time you ate that chocolate, you felt pretty good.
So funny, because we talk a lot about a musculoskeletal, and there's a direct correlation in rewiring the brain. So you may be resetting the brain,
Right.
which is critical. And the reason you have a memory, in when your body responds in your brain, it always responds stronger second, third, and fourth time, because that memory is enhanced. So what you're speaking about, it's better to get it at the beginning, but it's really hard.
It's really hard.
It's hard. People find it difficult to break a habit.
Right. I could tell you an experience really strange that I had when I first started doing this for cravings. I had a horrific cravings for caramels, which had increased. I couldn't stop it. And they kept on saying, you have to tap. When you have that craving, that's when you have to tap. But who wants to tap then? I just wanted to eat the caramel.
Right.
Because I knew that was going to take care of the problem in 10 seconds, right? Now I got to tap. I finally did it. And a memory came up as I was tapping, and as strange as this may sound to the audience, the memory that came up was my mom and I on a Friday, she would cook this caramel substance that we would do. I had totally forgotten about this, and we would sit and eat it and connect. So whenever, in some ways I was feeling alone or missing that connection because she passed away a long time ago, I wasn't consciously thinking of that, but all of a sudden I got this urge, and the urge for the caramels was really the urge for connection. Once I realized that and I tapped that down, I'm telling you, it's like I could still eat a caramel, but it's not in that craving, I can't resist it form. So that's how the tapping works. So I'm going to teach you tapping, but I want to tell you 3 different ways you can use it. One, you can use it on your stress levels every single day. So 3 to 5 minutes of tapping on any stress that's coming up. Got stressed by the boss, my boyfriend stressed me, my husband, my wife, whoever it is. You do 3 to 5 minutes and you're going to keep those cortisol levels down. So that's number 1.
Cortisol, stress hormone.
The second one is tapping on the specific craving. Even though I have this desire for caramel, I don't find that as effective. I don't like it as much, but sometimes when you don't know what the emotion is and all you know is that you want that and we'll use chocolate for our demonstration because that's a big one. You want that chocolate, then, it's like you tap on it because you can't figure it out. But if you can figure out what the emotion is, you just stop for a minute and say, what is it I'm really feeling here? And it's sadness or anger or frustration, anxiety, stress. Then the better thing to tap on is the emotion. Once you get that down, all of a sudden the craving gets loosened. And what occurs is now you could use your brain, your executive function, to make a proper decision. Because if you're in fight or flight, if the amygdala is firing up, you can't think straight. And that's the issue with stress. You just can't make a good decision.
We've all been there.
All of us, right? In so many
there.
ways. So tapping. The first thing you do, or EFT, so you guys could look it up online. You can also go to stresslesswitheft.com because I have a video there that kind of breaks it up for you easily. And I do want to say that I'm going to teach you the tapping now, But in the product that we are offering to your audience today, and we're giving a whole bunch of bonuses also, there's going to be a tapping demonstration in it, and we're also going to be speaking about tapping. We're going to have tapping sequences for each of the emotions, for anger and frustration and anxiety, and you could plug in whatever else. We also talk more about the physiology of stress and about the cravings. And I did that product with my mentor, Dr. Carol Look, who is really extraordinary in this field. She's one of the original masters, and I hope you check it out because it's really been a helpful product. So this is the way tapping goes. The first thing you do is you create a setup statement. The setups is just what's the problem. Even though, and for our purposes, we're going to use the craving. Even though I want that chocolate, right? That's the problem in the middle. I accept myself anyway. So you've got the even though, you've always got the accept myself, because what you want to do is tell the brain that what it's thinking, we're going to change it. We're going to start that rewiring process. You make the setup statement first. The second thing you do is you create a reminder statement, and that is the problem. I really want that chocolate, right? And then the third thing you do is you measure that desire. So you drop into your body and say, how badly do I want it from 0 to 10? 7, 8, 5. If you're above a 4, you should be tapping. Use any of the tapping sequences that we have in our Eliminate Cravings Now product, and that will help you get it down to about a 2 or a 3, and then you're good. You're able to make the decision. So you now have the setup statement, and you're going to tap on your side of your hand, which is the fleshy part between the tip of the finger and the wrist, and you start tapping there, and you say it 3 times. Even though I want that chocolate, I accept myself anyway. Even though I really want that chocolate, I accept myself and my feelings. Even though I want that chocolate, I accept myself anyway. And you could use either hand, so it doesn't matter, 3 times. People say, how many times do you tap? Between 5 and 7. Don't worry about it, don't count, just go by the rhythm. Once you've done that, you start going into your first point, which is the inner eye, and you say, I really want that chocolate. So now it's only the reminder statement. I can't resist that chocolate. I really want it. I want that chocolate now. I cannot resist that chocolate. I know that chocolate is going to make me feel good. I really want that chocolate. I want to eat it now. So as you see, I started going around the points. You take a breath and you check in, see how you're feeling. And we're going to do it one more time. I'm going to tell you the points as we go along. So in the inner eye, I really want that chocolate. Outer eye, that chocolate is calling my name. Under the eye, that sweet, delicious, smooth chocolate. Under the nose, I really want that chocolate. Chin point, I want it now. Collarbone point, I can't resist that chocolate. Under the arm, I want that chocolate. Top of the head, I want that chocolate now. You take a deep breath in, you blow it out, and then you check your points again. You say, okay, I was in 8. Am I about a 6? If I am, keep on tapping. As you're going around and you're tapping, you may think like, yeah, I want that chocolate. It makes me feel good. It takes away my stress. So you may want to add that as you go along next time. Because remember, if you can access the emotion, that is going to release it quicker. And like I said, there's many emotions attached to this craving. And in the product, Eliminate Cravings Now, you will see that we go through frustration, we're going to go through anxiety, we're going to go through sadness, stress. So there are many different things that may cause you to have a craving for a specific food. Because the emotion, what we've done is we've taken the chocolate and we've put our emotion in it. So there's this other technique that we'll teach at another time, which really kind of takes the emotion out of the food, and then the food just becomes food. Once you start tasting it, it just tastes like milk and cocoa, right? Rather than like love and affection. So I'd love for you to try this, and maybe for you to try also the product that we'll be offering for Dr. Silverman's audience.
Right. I wanted to give you some space so you could go through all that.
Thank
so
you.
I have another question. You talked about a product, an audio product,
Right.
and we've got we've got Halloween coming, we've got Thanksgiving, we've got Christmas, and I can tell you this, that everybody says we're going to wait till January 1st.
Right.
And the reason they do is because between Halloween and Christmas, they gouge. So why don't you help them fend off some of those
I have to
cravings?
tell you, that is the trifecta, we call it in the field, of cravings, because it starts with that Halloween candy, right?
Oh my goodness.
Oh, you're buying it for the kids to, come and trick or treat, but really you end up eating it all. And then it keeps on going. The pies and Thanksgiving, and then the holidays, whether it's Christmas or Hanukkah, and the food continues, and we end up with champagne.
Yeah.
And grapes. And, oh my God, I've got to get on my diet January 1st.
First day.
So this tapping is not going to take away your pleasure. This product that we've done is to give you some sense of control. So you may be able to have a slice of pie, not the entire pie.
There you go.
You may be able to have a few candy corns, not the entire bag. You don't have to have every Snickers that was left in that pumpkin by your door. So Dr. Carol Look and I, who's my mentor and friend, have developed this product to help you through that process of not only the trifecta that's coming up, but also that you can use whenever you want to use it in January when you start that diet, so that it won't derail you. Because here's what happens with cravings, and we're going to explain more of that in one of the modules. It starts setting up the shame cycle. So the more you eat, instead of stopping to eat because of the shame cycle. It really sets up to eating toxicity. It sets up the derailment of the diet. So we're going to speak about that and what happens. We'll speak a little bit about the body. You'll get to know some about us. But the main crux, and this is where it will be important for you, will be on the tapping. We will once again explain it, how to do it, and we are going to tap on very specific emotions. The ones that both she and I know with hundreds of clients that we have worked with are the most prominent in cravings, and that's overwhelm, frustration, loneliness, anger, and anxiety. So in that module, we'll actually be going back and forth, and all you do is tap along. You could plug in your own words or just use ours, and we hope that this product will really be able to get you through this holiday season. And what we've done, just for your audience, it's a $47 product, so it's, easily accessible to all. We've also thrown in a couple of bonuses. So remember how I said gratitude is something that's really wonderful to help you get into a different vibration? Dr. Carol Look has a product called gratitude tapping. So she's going to give that as a bonus. I have a 3-minute, because I don't like to spend too much time in the morning meditating. It's a tapping meditation that sets up your day. We're going to throw that in. And then we did a product a few years ago called Afraid to Lose Weight, which everyone thinks, like, why would you be afraid to lose weight? Well, some of us hold on to weight for other psychological reasons. And in that product, we go through all of that, and that's also going to be a bonus.
Sounds like a great
So
deal.
your audience will get that for a full week. We're going to be, allowing your audience to jump in and, buy this wonderful product and those 3 bonuses.
Here's what I'll do. I will give a food list of
Ooh.
things that they can eat, gluten-free, if they're interested. So when they have it, they tap, they don't have the urge, what do I eat? I'll give them a food list.
That's phenomenal. I love that, because
I
then
was
they
told in that all
they
day.
could test. They could actually test if the tapping is working for them. If you can't stick to the list, if you can't stick to it, then it's a tapping issue. So thank you for inviting me to be here
My
today.
pleasure.
And I really enjoyed this.
Well, everybody, we've got something for your cravings for those trifecta of that 2 months between Halloween and champagne on Christmas Eve. If you guys have any questions, always feel free to send in a comment. You'll get the list. Dr. Rob and Leslie Vellios, always yours in health.